Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Chris, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you a tutorial look at Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Now, if you want a deeper look into the software, I do have a free basics course that you can access down at the link below. And if you want an even deeper understanding of the various elements of Business Central, I will have paid courses that you can find again down on my website. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. But this video is just going to be a short tutorial, really a crash course on Business Central in under 10 minutes. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this. All right, so here we are in what you can consider the home page, or better known as the Role Center for Microsoft Business Central. It's basically the first page you come across and your home base when you're first logging into the software. As I've talked about in my basics course, I like to break this first Role Center, which is such an important page when you're logging in. I like to break it down into various important sections. And the way I would like to break this down, first off, I'm going to delete or close this banner headline. So we'll click on this and it opens up a little more real estate here. And really what we're looking at here is there's three major sections of your Role Center. So what you can see up top here, this is kind of like your navigation or your actions section of the Role Center. You can use these tabs up above to basically dive deeper into the system if you want to go to certain financial reports, or maybe you want to look at sales information, etc. These allow you to go deeper into the system. So this is how you can navigate in. We also have some bookmarked features here. So if you find yourself commonly going to a certain page, such as the list of all vendors or items, you can bookmark them so they're right here and you don't have to go through several drop downs just to get to that page. And then down here, we have a lot of different actions. So if you want to easily create a new sales order or a purchase invoice, etc., you've got those options right here. Some of them include also, you can come down here and you can create a new customer, vendor, item, etc. So you get the concept. This is all navigation and basic actions. Then down below, everything down here, and you could scroll down further, this is all our reporting and analytical information. So we've got these tiles that provide us basic information, generally relevant to whatever position you're in for the company. So here we can see we've got the number of sales orders, purchase orders. We can scroll down, we can see tasks that are in process, etc., etc. Now, you can customize this. I'll show you that briefly in a second, but all of these things can be modified, changed, and you can click on these tiles if you don't just want to see that there's two tasks in queue, but you want to see which tasks specifically and actually access them and influence them. Then you can click on the tiles that will bring you to separate pages relevant to whatever that thing is. So that is the second section. And then we're going to scroll back up here. The last section is this black bar at the top, and this stays there, and it's really just a lot of key, you could say, settings or profile information right at the top. So first off, on the left, we have our app launcher. So in this case, I'm on a demo account, so I only have a few apps connected to Business Central. But if you've got things like you're logged into your normal Microsoft account, so you have Excel, Teams, Outlook, Power BI, all of these different apps that are within that ecosystem can all easily be accessed and flipped between using this app launcher. So it's a very handy way. And one of the major benefits of using something like Business Central is all of these Microsoft products are really integrated in with each other. Then over on the right here, I'm going to rapid fire go through these options. First off, we have this, what looks like a little skyscraper building, and this gives you the ability to switch between entities, or you could call them subsidiaries, if you're in a multi-entity organization. In this particular case, this demo account just has one entity, so we'll click that. We also have Microsoft Copilot. So Copilot is really baked into Business Central in many different places. So if you want to take advantage of that AI tool to debug things, to create reports, etc., you always have that Copilot option there. You can use this search bar, also known as the Tell Me bar, if you want to directly search into the system for certain tools or records. You can do that using the Tell Me bar. We've got notifications. That's really just like any web page. You can have notifications if you want. And then settings. Few different settings here, really just two in particular I want to comment on. One is My Settings. This is where you can come in and not only change some specific settings related to your own account, like your time zone, etc., but most importantly, you have your role here. So in this particular case, I'm in the business manager role, which is a little bit like the IT professional or the administrator for this account. It has far-reaching access, but if I wanted to switch to, let's say, a different role, like the sales manager, I could click that. It would then transition me over, and you would see in the background here everything that we see in our role center is tailored to the fact that we're in a business manager role. So if I switched it to sales manager, you'd suddenly start seeing the tabs at the top and the tiles listed down below. They would all start transitioning over to something more relevant for a sales manager. So I'm not going to click that here for now, but you can feel free to do so on your trial account. I'm going to go over here and click close on this, and we'll close out of this settings. The second thing I wanted to show you here was the personalize option. So we click on that and it opens up this gray bar. So this is how we know we're in personalization mode. And we basically have the ability to now start dragging and dropping all the various fields that we have here. So if I wanted to start moving around these tabs, I could move them around, hide them, add in new tabs. I can do the same with the actions here, as well as these tiles down below. All of this can be customized to personalize it to your exact requirements and what fits best for you. So that is the basic concept of this. If you wanted to add a new field, you'd come over here to click field. It would pull in a new window pane that allows you to have various fields you can add in. I do want to point out this personalization feature is not just something you can do on your role center. You can do it really on any page in Business Central to do that kind of personalization on the fly. Now, once you're done, you can come over here and click done. And that gives you a basic concept of what we're seeing here in the role center. So now let's start to dive deeper into the system. And when you want to think about navigating in Business Central, the best way to think about this is that really, again, Role Center is your home base. And when you start diving in, you're going to be hitting list views. So list views are, as the name implies, they are lists of whatever record type that you are viewing. So for example, we're going to come over here to our bookmark for customers. If we want to take a look at customers and I click this, it's going to bring us to a list view of customers. So you can see here, we've got a list of customers here, and we have various features on top as well as on the right. Just to kind of prove my point, that the list view, regardless of what you're looking at, whether customers, vendors, etc., the list view itself will always be the same. So to point that out, we're going to come back up here. I'm going to click on this. Kronos USA is the name of the fake demo account that we're currently in. So if we click on it, it brings us back to our role center. And now let's go into a different list view. I'm going to come over here to items. It's again going to bring us to a list view, but this time of items. So everything that you see is really the same setup, but now with a different thing being shown. So here we can see we've got a long list of various items that we either sell or use to manufacture in our company. And the way this list view is broken down, again, just to kind of categorize things, on the left side here, you have the thing that you're looking at itself. So this is the list. And then on the right, we have what's called the fact box. This is something you're going to see in a few different places. And this is a quick snapshot view of whatever it is that you're looking at. So if I click on this particular item, notice the fact box changes to give us some basic information related to that item. So we can see the item number, we can see the costing method is first in, first out. We can scroll down here. We've got all kinds of information, profit margin, etc., all tied to that particular item. And we could switch to a different item, new information comes up. So that fact box is a very useful way to get quick info on what you're reviewing. And then of course, up here on the top, as with most things in Business Central, this is where you have your actions and navigational elements. So if you want to navigate to various elements related to items, or you want to do certain actions tied to items, for example, if we were on a list of customers and I wanted to create a new sales order tied to one particular customer, I could come up here and I would use these navigational elements to create those records, or again, navigate to whatever features were relevant for me. We also have a few other options over here on the right. We can share or export these lists to other people. We can create filters if we want to pare this information down to something more appropriate to what we're looking for. We also have the ability to change it for, in this case, from list view to tile view, if that's relevant, if we want to be able to see a visual element of the various items that we're reviewing, etc., etc. So this, again, is the list view. You're now oriented to the various things you would always see on any list view. Now let's dive into a record itself. So let's come over here. We've got a Paris guest chair. This company that we're in, this demo account, is basically like a knockoff IKEA. So they sell furniture, chairs, things like that. So we're going to access this particular record, and I'm going to click on it to dive into the record itself. Now, when you're diving into master records, which would be things like customers, vendors, partners, employees, items, fixed asset records, these records are referred to as cards. You can see that up here. In this case, this is an item card for this chair. So this is an easy place where you can come in and you can see all this information related to this particular record. And you can see them all in these fields down below. I could easily come down here, for example, select something else. If I didn't want this category code to be chair, I wanted it to be table, I could flip it on the fly. And by doing so, notice as soon as I click off of this, notice on the top right here, it happened very quickly. You might have missed it, but it changed from saved to saving. So it automatically, as you're editing things, it's always going to be saving that record so that anyone else coming to the record will see the most up-to-date version. So this is, again, a great example of a master record for something like an entity record, an item record, etc. You've got your basic information here. You've got your fact box on the right. You can see that here. We can scroll down through this fact box, and we've got some actions and navigational elements up top. But now let's take a look at a transactional record, because those are slightly different. If I navigate back out here, back to my home page, I'm going to come up here to sales, and I want to say a look at our sales orders. So I'm going to come over here to sales orders, and this brings us to, again, a list view of all our sales orders. And I want to look at this one in particular. So this is a specific record, but now instead of being a master record, this is a transactional record. And they refer in the system to these transactional records as documents. So this is a sales order document. And a lot of things that we can see here are very similar to what we were just looking at on the item card. We can see we have some basic information here. We have a fact box on the right, actions and navigation on top. Really what's different is that we now have line items. So this is where on this sales order, we could dictate that there's 6 different types of items on it, various quantities for each. Each one has its own price, etc. And these values that we put in on this document would then calculate down here into the totals. So as we start adding on line items, the total would start raising up, up, up as we go through it. All right, so that is your basic overview and tutorial into Microsoft Business Central. As I said earlier, if you want a deeper look into the software, I have a free basics course that you can access down below. And if you want an even deeper look into various elements of the software, or even trying to attain your Business Central certifications, I have courses on my website for these various elements. So I hope you can take advantage of that. And with that in mind, I'll see you in the next video.